Hey guys, this is Joshua from This Is Podcast, the show where we talk about whatever we want, whenever we want, and nobody cares. And today, I have another light tutorial for you. So get ready, this is Swordplay. Alright, so let's talk about how to move. First and foremost, let's talk about our foot position. So, go ahead and step out here. Alright, so your first foot position, alright? Bring your right foot out, alright? And bring it back together and make an L shape, alright? So your right and your back foot, your left foot, will be sideways, and your right foot will be straight on. You'll make an L shape. Now, once you have your L shape, step out into a nice, comfortable stance. All right, and bend your knees. The reason we're going to bend our knees is we're going to have that movement. All right, and you want to keep a nice, even weight. Your weight evenly distributed. You won't be too far forward, because if he tries to cut at me and I'm stuck up here, before I can retreat away from his cut, I would have to shift my weight back before I can move this leg. If I'm back here and I want to attack, before I can attack him, I have to shift my weight forward to move forward. So a nice easy stance, a nice even stance, keeps me so that I'm able to quickly move back and forth. Alright, so your L shape, nice comfortable stance, knees bent, and weight evenly distributed. Alright, so how do we advance? I'm going to step away from Eli a little bit. And to advance, this is really simple to remember. Your front foot goes first on the advance. So you're going to pick up your toes, step out, and let this left foot slide right behind. Alright? So, again, that's right foot, and let your foot slide behind. And it should look like this. Okay? This is pretty simple. Now, if I want to retreat, it's the opposite. Left foot back, slide right foot back to the back to position. Left foot, right. And it should look like. Now, I said this is a sliding motion, and that is mostly true. But if you find yourself on terrain such as grass or gravel, some kind of rougher, uneven ground, you're going to want to pick your feet up a little more. Maybe not do so much slide. You may end up doing a little hop. That's okay too. You want to slide your feet when the terrain is smooth enough to do so. And this will allow you to move quicker and more fluidly towards or away from your target. Now, I said that there's the advance and a retreat. Now, retreat gets kind of a negative connotation. Don't think of this as something negative, that you're retreating away from your opponent. Think of it as General MacArthur had said, we're not retreating, we're advancing in another direction. This is being tactical and being smarter than your opponent. If he comes with a heavy cut, for instance, his sword is quite a bit heavier than mine. I may not want to take the blow of that, so I might, if he comes down with a cut, go ahead, retreat away from his cut. Alright, my blade is also longer than his by a significant amount. If he advances, I might retreat and just hold my blade out and let him impale himself upon my weapon. So don't think of the retreat as a weakness or as retreating necessarily. We call it a retreat because you are moving backwards, but moving backwards doesn't necessarily mean you're running away from the fight. So let's talk about our side-to-side movement. So get yourself back into that same position. Your footwork stays the same. All right. Now this is a little bit. This reverses on itself. So before we were saying advance is front foot forward, rear foot back. All right. So if I want to advance to my right, I'm actually going to step my left foot back, then my right foot. Left foot, right. I'm going to my right, left foot right. And it should look like this. We'll come up and we'll do it one more time smoothly. All right, left foot right.
Why do you do that?
Okay, so why do we do that? I'll get to that in 1 second. Let's just, real quick, get up. If I'm going to my left, it's going to be the opposite, right foot left.
Okay.
All right, and it should look like this, smoothly. All right, so if I'm going to my right, it's left foot right. If I'm going to my left, it's right foot left. The opposite foot of the direction you're going. Why do we do that? That's an excellent question. So let's, for the moment, Eli is going to impale me. He's going to thrust, okay? If I was to use my right foot, let's say I want to step out of the way to the right. If I was to step right, I'd broaden myself out and I've made myself more of a target. By stepping my left foot, I'm already, just with that first step, I'm making myself less of a target. I'm stepping out of line, and now I'm in line. Same thing if it was a thrust and I was to step to the, that's right. If I was to step to the left, if I step left, I make myself a target, and you can come right at me. Okay? I'm going to make myself that target. If I'm going to go right foot first, when he thrusts, I'm out of line, and I've created a new line of attack. So that's why we do that.
Okay.
You're making yourself thinner, making yourself smaller, and out of line, getting out of the attack range. Now, to be careful in that, we're talking about only a thrust. If he was to cut from his left side, a 6 cut, and I was to step, I still have to parry his shot. Because just because I'm making myself thinner this way doesn't mean I'm necessarily this way. So that's just a note. And that was an excellent question, and it brings up an interesting point. All right, so there's that. Let's talk about our diagonal steps. Diagonal steps, fortunately, is just like the advance and retreat, except that we're going to step at an angle. So if I want to step to his right in a diagonal, I'm going to step forward and kind of already get my foot in a position where it's kind of going in that direction, and bring my left foot back. I'll show you again. Going to the right foot, and bring myself in line. And it should look like this. Same rule applies if I'm going to the left. If I'm going to the left, right foot, left. If I'm going to retreat from a diagonal, the same rules apply as a retreat, except now we're going in kind of a diagonal. So if I want to get away from a cut, let's say he's going to cut from his shoulder, a 2 cut. I'm sorry, I'm in the mirror to him, so I had to think about where he was. If I'm going to retreat away from a 2 cut, I would go left, then right. Again, in a diagonal, left, then right. Now, why would I retreat in a diagonal? Why would I retreat or advance in a diagonal? I want to retreat or advance a diagonal to change the line of attack. Remember, in European fighting, most fighting is done in a line style, in a line. Our line of attack, when facing him, is like this. But maybe I want to get some tactical advantage over him. I want to upset him. I might upset him by, when he attacks, changing the line of attack on him.
Putting him in a corner.
And putting him in a corner. Or just getting an angle on him, because if he stays still, if he's not expecting me to change my angle of attack, I have a whole lot of options where I can attack him. Let's say the sun is right here, and it's in my eyes. I might advance and get the sun over here now, not so much directly in my eyes. Let's say the sun is right here. If I retreat and change the line of attack, he has to now, it forces him to change his line of attack, and now the sun is in his eyes. Maybe there's mud there. Whatever, it's to get some kind of tactical advantage over your opponent. Or get rid of his tactical advantage. If I'm standing in a slick area or a muddy area or a gravelly area or there's sun in my eyes, I can change and level the playing field a little bit. So, alright, we've talked about our stance, our forward and retreat, our diagonals. One last point I want to make about footwork, and that is the lunge, alright? And the lunge is an important technique for both thrusting and cutting. And the lunge is simply not what we think of in the movies, where it's a way out here motion.
You do that sideways so they can see it, the profile.
Yeah. This isn't this way far out motion. Okay, we think of all the momentum going forward and really being out there. Before we get to the right way of doing it, or the correct way of thrusting, let's go into why we wouldn't do it, say, like in the movies. If I was to thrust at Eli, why don't you just take a step back here for a second, kind of get yourself in an attack line. If I was to say thrust at Eli like that, my foot and all my weight is up here. My feet are locked in position because my back leg is twisted. And if he tries to attack me now, if I miss and he tries to attack me, I can't really defend myself because I'm locked in this low forward position. I actually have to get away from him, shift my weight back before I can get back.
Kind of pick yourself up a bit.
Exactly. So, if I'm going to lunge at him, either on a cut or a thrust, it's going to look more like this. Alright? Notice my back foot. My back foot is flat on the ground. Alright? I never thrust more than I can go with my foot leaving the ground. What I mean by that is, if I thrust like this, and my foot starts to twist out as it is now, that's a bad thrust. I can't retreat from that. So I never thrust farther than I can keep my foot flat on the ground. That is my maximum thrust. My foot stays flat on the ground. If I want to cut, same rule. If I cut, my rear foot stays flat to the ground, so I can quickly retreat if I, say, miss my attack, or if he comes in with a counter, or he parries, or he riposts. I need to be able to retreat from that and be able to deflect his shot. So now, if I cut, and he comes back for his own cut, I'm able to quickly retreat back and keep myself safe. So, one final note on the lunge is that I don't have to just retreat from the lunge. Let's say I come in at Eli with a lunge. I can actually just step forward and be back in my guard position.
Probably more depending on how far I go back. Like keep you advancing.
If I'm pushing, yes, I could keep advancing on you. Especially, let's say in the case of Eli, he has a shorter blade. So right now I have the advantage over him. I keep him at distance. But let's say he lunges, and now he steps forward, and he's bringing himself now where my blade is a little bit of a disadvantage, and he has the advantage because he's put himself in his attack range and outside of mine. Okay. So you can step up into a lunge as opposed to retreating from a lunge. One last little thing about our footwork, and this is a simple footwork video, as I said. So this is just a small point, and we're going to talk real fast about back step. What is it? The back step is very simple. I'm in a guard position. Eli goes to cut. The back step is simply stepping my front foot behind my rear foot and away from the attack. I only need to have him miss by an inch or two. It's just getting myself out of line of attack and thus giving myself an advantage. So for instance, Eli goes to cut me, I step out, and I step back in with my own attack. So just a simple back step, and there you have it. There is a simple introduction to the footwork. So there you go. I hope you've had fun watching this video, and I hope you learned something from this light tutorial. Thanks for watching, guys. Hey guys, whoa! Did you like what you see here? Check us out on This Is Podcast, and while you're there, go ahead and like and subscribe. There are little buttons right below. And don't forget to leave a comment. We want to talk about anything you want to talk about. If you have questions about today's video or any videos, just leave us a comment below, and we'll be happy to speak with you. Also, check out our Facebook. This Is Podcast. Thanks, guys.